Відповідає повідключати мікрофони. Бо то...
Так, обов'язково зараз нам модератор це скаже. Ми зараз запустимо спочатку звук, а тоді цей запис.
А всі спробували, чи відкриваються у них презентації?
Зараз будуть пробувати.
Всім доброго дня.
Доброго дня. Добрий день.
Я ще не пробував, чи відкривається моя.
Можете спробувати за бажанням.
Добре, якщо я зараз десь на секунду до екрану, потім вімкну, нормально буде?
Поганий звук, Тетяна Олександрівна, треба рестартувати.
Так, зараз поганий дійсно.
У мене нормальні чіткі якісь поміхи. Можливо, поміхи через те, що мікрофони включені в людей. Ну, зараз нормальний звук?
Да.
Да, коли мікрофони
Так.
включені, йде поміха, тому що йде ехо подвійне, то й потрійне. Вячеславе, пробуйте, будь ласка, свою презентацію.
Ви пишете?
Так, зараз.
Да, пишу, включила запис. І
Зараз,
будемо, якщо
так.
ви попробуєте, і далі Ольга буде починати.
Так, написано, що організатор вимкнув демонстрацію екрана учасників.
А зараз?
Зараз. Так. Чи видно? Шановні колеги, чи мене чути та чи видно презентацію? Так, добре. Ну, тоді буду доповідати за розкладом. Дякую.
Добре, добре. Видно було, пані Оксана, все прекрасно. Так, ну що, Ольга, let's start.
Okay, let's start. Dear colleagues, for those who have just joined our conference, welcome you to the first international workshop on intelligent information technologies and systems of information security, intelitsis 2020. And now it is the last section for today. We have 4 presentations, and after that at 4 p.m. we have the awards and close ceremony. Let me remind that the time limit of your presentation is 15 minutes and 5 minutes question and answer. And also let me remind, please, for those who are not speaking, turn off your microphones. And our first presentation is by Tatiana Kisil, Ivan Izonin, and Olga Govorushenko, Ukraine. The title is Information Technology for Choosing the Trademark, Considering the Attitude of Consumer. Who is the speaker, please?
Тетяна Кисіль, speaker.
Okay, thank you. Please start your presentation.
Okay, welcome, dear participants. Let me introduce myself. I'm Tatiana Kisil. I'm Associate Professor of Computer Engineering and System Programming Department of the National University of Khmelnytsky. I apologize, I have to stop my video because of unstable internet, but I hope you hear me. Okay, now I share my screen.
No. Oh, yes.
Do you see it? Oh, okay.
Yes, we can see, thank you.
Okay. The topic of my report is informational technology for choosing the trademark, considering the attitude of consumer. Some words about motivation. For enterprises whose activities involve the production and sale of products, the most important issue is the competitiveness of products. In modern conditions, the effectiveness of enterprise on the market depends not so much on the objective properties of the product, but on the subjective perception of the product trademark by the consumer. That's why the marketing strategy of leading foreign companies is aimed primarily at transforming the business of potential consumers. Evaluation of attitude of consumers to product allows us to find the weaknesses of the object under study. Avoiding the weaknesses of the product is a key factor in improving the competitiveness of the organization, as well as improving the productivity of consumer-oriented enterprise. Therefore, the study of consumer choice in terms of the attitude to trademark is the actual task in the conditions of increased competition in the market. Today, there are two main theories which are used to explain the forming of the attitude of consumers to the trademark. The theory of cognitive dissonance and attributive theory. Some words about this both theories. A sense of dissonance is a state which the person tries to reduce. In attributive theory, the product is considered as a set of properties that can solve the problem of the consumer. Considering the advantages and disadvantages of cognitive dissonance theory, analyzed one and multi-factor models, we choose the multi-factor model of Fishbane as a base model for the development of future informational technology for choosing the trademark, considering the attitude of the consumer. The analysis of literature gave the absence of informational technology for choosing the trademark, which considers the attitude of consumer. So the task is actual, and purpose of the study is support of choosing the trademark, considering the attitude of the consumers through the development of informational technology. Here we see concept of informational technology for choosing the trademark, considering the attitude of consumer. The object is known for us, it's process of choosing the trademark. Model is based on the multi-factor model of Fishbane. About methods I'll speak later, and tools, okay? So, according to model of Fishbane, the attitude of the consumer to the trademark is the sum of the product, of the value, of the attribute of trademark by the relative weight of the attribute. It is determined by Formula 1. Okay, and about method. Our method is consists of follow stages. First of all, we need to determine the list of attributes by which the consumers chooses the trademark. And next, we need to find out the relative weight of each attribute. Next, to estimate the value of each attribute. And the last, to calculate the value of the attribute of the consumers to each trademark using Formula 1. For analyzing the functioning of this model and method, we check it on the example of choosing the trademark of acoustic guitar, in which we consider the attitude of the consumers. So here we see 7 trademarks which were selected by us. Why only 7? Because it's well known that the buyer can memorize no more than 7 trademarks in each product group. You can check yourself. Okay, Method. First stage. First of all, we need most important attributes for consumers. Analysis of publication of the internet and some post-of-house rock music forums regarding their parameters for the choice of an acoustic guitar. Here they are. We determine the attributes that are most significant for consumers. Okay. Second stage, we need to find out the relative weight. We distributed 100 points between the main attributes in proportion to their importance from a consumer's perspective. Results of this you can see on this slide. Okay, and next. Stage 3 and 4 are described in this slide. The third stage was survey. It was done survey, which developed to collect values of all the above attributes for different guitar trademarks. There was 49 questions, attributes for each of 7 trademarks. Respondents valued the attributes by the 7-point bipolar scale. Scale was from +3 down to -3, where +3 is the best mark and -3 is the worst mark for each analyzed trademark. And each respondent put his mark. And here you see average values of its marks of each attribute for each trademarks. And the last stage is to calculate the attitude of the trademarks. Using formula 1. And results you see that the most attractive trademark for consumers is Yamaha. The same you can see on this figure. Okay, so and what about conclusions? First of all, the study of the attitude of the consumers is very important for the enterprise. We gave a structure of informational technology. We give model and method of choosing the trademark. And we check the work of functionality of our methoded models on an example of choosing a trademark. About future studies, we need to develop of the tool, one of the elements of our technology, and design a realization of informational technology for choosing the trademark. Thanks for attention. So it's very quickly. Okay.
Thank you for your presentation. If there are some questions, dear colleagues, please.
Can I have a question?
Yes, please.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting. I have a question about how did you distribute this 100 points between the targeted attributes? It's like you use some kind of expert evaluation, or maybe based on the interview of the focus group that will further use these guitars?
Thank you for
I'm
the question.
interested in the method.
Yes, yes, I see.
Thank you.
The survey was content in which people who use acoustic guitar in their professional activities or in their spare time, they took part with the purpose of choosing the most important attribute for each respondent. 100 respondents took part in this survey.
Oh,
It
okay.
was, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
More questions, please?
Yes. Який інструментарій ви плануєте використовувати для створення в майбутньому?
Thank you for the questions. I think it will be some web resource.
Java, C#, можливо.
No, for web resource, I think it will be Java.
Ні, веб-компонента у вас якась там.
Ми ще не думали про це так конкретно, але в принципі так. Швидше всього буде якась компонента.
Дякую.
Дякую вам за запитання.
Maybe more questions, dear colleagues? No? If there are no more questions, we invite our next presenters, Oksana Karpenko, Irina Tarnovska, Olga Kravchenko, and Valentina Vlasova, and Ivana Dronyuk with information system, academic load distribution. Please, speaker.
Оксана, don't hear you. Don't hear you, Оксана.
We cannot hear you. Where is Oksana?
Maybe she's trying to reconnect.
Yeah, I guess so. We will wait for Oksana for a couple of minutes. Or shall we ask another presenter to report while Oksana is reconnecting? Oh, she is here.
Hello, do you hear me? Thank you very much. Some problems, technical problems, sorry. Hello, dear. I am Oksana Karpenko. I am from State University of Infrastructure and Technologies. I am a head of Management and Public Administration Department, Doctor of Science in Economics, professor. I will share my screen. If you see,
yes,
safely.
we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you. One moment. Okay. Your attention is invited to report information system academic load distribution. This work is the result of the collaboration of researchers from State University of Infrastructure and Technologies and Lviv Polytechnic National University. At the conference are present Tarnovska Irina, please, Irina, and Valentina Vlasova. The activities of a modern university require constant paperwork, which is leads to a significant investment of time in processing the same type of information and performing routine processes. This actualizes the task of automating the university document management system. A lot of resources, both human and time, are always spent for searching and obtaining the necessary information, developing training and working training programs, counting the necessary elements. To avoid such problems, as well as for the convenience of working with documents, it's proposed to create a department's document management system. The main aim of creating a system should be not only the storage of information in one place, but also the receipt of reporting documentation in the required format. The system must contain a database, its population system, and a system of information, reports, and curricula documents. The report is divided into two parts. The first, modeling of the story, the second, modeling of information systems, the third, development of software, the fourth, function of the information system, academic load distribution, the fifth, the main effects of its application. Objective of the research is the development of an information management system for the university department. The research is based on the Department of Management and Public Administration of the State University of Infrastructure and Technologies. The document management system of Ukrainian University includes methodological documentation, reporting documentation for lecturers, scientific reports, curricula, work plans, and other documentation related to the educational process, as well as load distribution between lecturers. Information technology in education is a necessary condition for the transition of society to an information civilization. Modern technologies and telecommunications make it possible to change the nature of the organization of the educational process, completely immerse the student in the information and educational environment, improve the quality of education, motivate the processes of perception of information and knowledge. New information technologies create an environment of computer and telecommunication support for organization and management in education. The development and implementation of information technologies and computer networks of various contents allows the formation of the intellectual space for the cooperation of networks developed for various structural units of a modern university. In addition, this makes it possible to carry out on ubiquitous communication and create intelligent multimodal interfaces which helps to optimize the work of the department. The formalization of the department's document management should include the allocation of set of key objectives and subjects, as well as relationships between them. Then the document management process can be described through three sets. The first, the set of the department employees who taking part in the document management. The second, the set of action on documents. The implementation of each is permissible in the department's document management system. The third, the set of the document states that they can accept after actions from the set A by the participant from the set L. The relationship between the sets can be represented as follows. A document can change its state depending on the action that was performed on it by a certain employee of the department at time T. The load distribution is one of the most important tasks to be solved at the department. The deformation of the lecturer's academic loading is described through four sets. The first, the set of academic discipline related to the department, the number of lecturers, the set of students groups, the set of restrictions forms for each lecturer. These sets have different dimensions. So the Department of Management and Public Administration of the State University of Infrastructure and Technologies has 10 lecturers who teach 75 academic disciplines for 34 student groups. The set of restrictions should include two groups of indicators. General, which characterize the possibilities of the lecturers to teach, namely his qualification, scientific interest, work experience. Specific, which characterize the quality of teaching in terms of students. They can be formed according to the results of anonymous question of students. It should also consider how often students choose the lecturer's academic discipline in previous years. These indicators in total will determine the maximum allowable academic load for each lecturer, considering the standards of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine, the university limitation, and the desires of the lecturer himself. The development of an information system for the academic load distribution should be implemented in two stages. The first, development of the database structure and filling it with information. The second, development of software for obtaining reporting documentation in the required format based on data from a single database. The main aim of the information system is not only to save information in one place, but also to receive reporting documentation in required format, which will significantly reduce the time spent of the preparation of documentation and eliminate the possibility of errors. Over time, and the growing needs of the department in documentation, the database structure should be expanded by editing new entity tables and dictionary tables. Then the database structure and the system for generating the main documents should be based on a minimum data set and facilitate document management. At the same time, the document management database of the department should include educational and methodological documentation, lecturers as a class schedules. The database architecture is developed based on the relational database management system MySQL, with the selection of the main entity tables and static dictionary tables. The document generation module is developed in the Java language. The choice of programming language is associated with the possibility of creating convenient libraries for working with documents in Microsoft Excel format. The web interface is developed based on the modern web technologies such as HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, Ajax, JSON. The interface is designed in accordance with modern requirements and can be used without installing additional software. It allows to perform basic operations with data in tables, add, update, delete, and generate forms with the academic load of lectures in Microsoft Excel format. The main elements of the database is a table. In a relation database, the term table is loose and usually doesn't mean relationship as an abstract concept, but a visual representation of the relationship on paper or screen. The document management system is logically divided into two types of components: tables, dictionaries, and tables of essence. Dictionary tables are static tables. The database use fill these tables with data that are unchanged for a long time. An example of the dictionary table can be a table with a list of university faculties or a list of lecturers of the department. This information can be considered static because the list of lecturers changes infrequently and not significantly. Dictionary tables are the basis of the entity tables. Entity tables are the main database tables that contain dynamic information. They do not contain fields of information with names. They contain only keys and points of the fields of dictionary tables. That is, the user who populates the entity table specifies only the key values. These tables should be completed as often as the curriculum or other key documents change. In practice, this table will be completed annually as a curricular change almost every year. The structure of the database is shown on the slide. Logging into the development information system is accomplished by opening the browser and entering the address of the web application in address bar. The main page of the system will be displayed on the screen. The main functions are in the main menu, which consists of 4 items presented in the form of buttons: main, database table, document generation, and load. The menu database tables is implemented in the form of drop-down list from the submenu: fields of knowledge, specialty, level of higher education, course, form of learning, disciplines, positions, lecturers. The slide shows the lectures and disciplines lists. The menu document generation in turn are implemented in form of drop-down lists from the submenu curriculum and working curriculum. Curriculum is one of the normative documents of the university through which the organization of the educational process. The curriculum includes the distribution of credits between disciplines, the schedule of educational process, as well as the plan of educational process by semester, which determines the list and scope of study of disciplines, forms of classes and their scopes, forms of the current and final control state certification. The academic load menu is implemented as drop-down list from the submenu. It is possible to use the load in Microsoft Excel for each lecture of the Department of Management and Public Administration. This is done by selecting a lecturer. Practical testing of the developed program module academic load distribution on the example of the Department of Management and Public Administration of the State University of Infrastructure and Technologies has allowed to determine the main effects of its application. The significant simplification of the work of the employee responsible for the academic load distribution, save time during the implementation of repetitive operations, reduce the possibilities on errors in the automated formation of documents, the ability to access data quickly and conventionally and to generate reports, provide remote access to the system and simulations operation of several users, prevention of the subjective approach in academic load distribution. The next step in the development of a document management system should be the creation of new models of generating documentation forms, as well as expanding the database structure to include additional information and improve the user interface. It is also necessary to develop a set of measures aimed at reducing the degree of change rejection in the department activities and increasing the level of psychological comfort of employees when implementing an information system. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you for your presentation. If there are some questions, please, dear colleagues.
I have two questions. First question, what are the benefits of the developed information system?
Thank you for questions. As you know, the load distribution is one of the most important tasks to be solved at the department. And this process requires a lot of information. Therefore, the main benefits are save time, reduce the possibilities of errors, and access data quickly and conveniently.
Thank you. And one more question. What difficulties you encountered in implementing your software?
Also, as you know, any stable and balanced system is resistant to change. Therefore, at the first, the main goal was to completely explain how to work with this new system, how to properly name project documentations, specify their types, sometimes more time for discuss and to explain how to use this system. In general, it took time and effort to adapt the team. As you know, 10 lecturers there are on this department, and it was very difficult to describe how to use this system. Thank you.
Thank you, Oksana.
Thank you for your answers. Maybe more questions, please.
Яка математична складова вашої роботи?
Can I ask in Ukrainian? Answer in Ukrainian or in English, dear colleagues?
As moderator says.
as it is more convenient and comfortable for you and for others.
Uh, in our paper, we have modeling of information system and formalization of the department's document management include allocation of set of key objectives. Then the document management described as a model where three sets of information. The first set, the department employees, the second set, action of documentation, and the third set, it was the set of documentation. And after that, we can see the relation between these sets can be represented as follows. A document can change its state dependent of the action that was performed on it by a certain employee of department at the time T. If you, I can show you one moment. Do you see my screen? Yes. This model information system, the first, and the second about time T, please.
Дякую.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation. If there are no more questions, maybe somebody has question. No?
Thank you so much for your attention and questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Then we go to the next presentation. It is by Елена Одорущенко, Олег Одорущенко, Valentina Butenko, Vyacheslav Harchenko, and Larisa Degtyaryova. And the title is Development of a Wearable Solution for Healthcare, Initial Stages Analysis and Case Study. Who is the speaker?
I'm going to present the work.
Thank you, please.
Okay, so I'll share the screen. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Can you see the screen? Great. Okay, so dear colleagues, my name is Valentina Butenko, and I'm a senior lecturer from National Aerospace University, the Department of Computer Systems, Networks, and Cybersecurity. And today I'd like to present you our recent research in the field of wearable solutions in the healthcare. And as is, the topic of my report is development of wearable solutions for healthcare, initial stage analysis and the case study. So here is the brief outline of my report. So I'll start with an introduction and motivate why we're doing all this research. Then quickly go through the main characteristics of the wrist-on motion trackers and idea of the smart closes as also one of the most one of the parts of the wearable healthcare devices, one of the types. How those smart closes are connected to the outside world. Then state 5 big vital signs that can be analyzed using the wearables, state challenges and directions for this emerging technology, which are highly important for any developer and user to understand and take into account. Oops, sorry. Then present you our pilot project, the case study, glucose management application, which is ongoing right now, and then finally conclusions. Okay, during the last decade, wearable devices have attracted much attention due to high perspectives that it can bring to everyday human life. Well, wearables are such electronic devices that detect, analyze, and transmit user data about the vital signs and have to be placed and worn too close to the skin. Being introduced as a concept and in the late 90s, right now in 2020, the overall revenue all over the world is almost $19 million of this sector and more than 4 million users. But as you can see, this data, those two graphics were taken from the Statista. They forecast that will be the slight reduce of revenue and wearables. I guess it's due to the pandemic, which is going on all over the world. And it's very interesting to note that the most users are among 25 years old and 44 years old who are using constantly wearable devices, while the healthcare mainly pointing to the elderly users. The healthcare quickly became one of the big adopters of idea of wearable devices, and they introduced the patient empowerment concept. This concept stands in placing the user in the middle of healthcare delivery process and giving ability to manage own data and to interact with healthcare providers as well. So based on this, there are four main parts in which we can use the healthcare devices to track our activity, monitor active lifestyle and recovery procedures, to predict upcoming events and prevent chronic problems, detect unexpected patterns in the person data, and further the diagnosis support, which is extremely important for clinical monitoring purpose. Being highly immersed technology, it shows a great rate of new devices developing each year, as well as updating of the existing ones. That's why non-technical users may find it hard to navigate among all this capacity of devices. Recently, at the beginning of 2020, the Customer Technology Association, the biggest one from the United States, presented the white paper in which they stated 5 main advices that any user have to take into account while selecting the appropriate healthcare device which can be weared. Those advices mainly address the customer goals, while just just briefly highlight that there are such problems also, and that questions of the data security, privacy, reliability have to be also concerned. The deep analysis of those parts, as I stated, the reliability, security, safety, wearability, and etc., have been made separately during the last 10 years in different sources by the researchers all over the world, but there is no one place in which all those characteristics were gathered in together to point the user attention on it. That's why we made a survey on up-to-date wearable healthcare device market and analyze what kind of basic vital signs have to be analyzed with the more modern technologies. Then we've created a list of those challenges that this main characteristic that have to be considered while selecting the wearable. And we also started our pilot project, the Children Diabetes Management application, for 2 main mobile systems, the iOS and Android. According to data from Statista, the global wearable market is all about the risks. As you can see on the graphic, the mostly shipped wearables are smartwatches and wristbands. We made a comparison of the several widely used trackers from the top providers, the Fitbit, Garmin, Polar, Withings, and Xiaomi. Based on the idea which and prices of those devices vary between $50 and $250, based on the idea that healthcare wearables should be available for users with different various income levels. And also data from Statista said that 75% of people who use wearables all day, they have low income and a medium income. So the brief summary of this table, which is presented on the slide, is that data from long-term tracking is extremely helpful for further medical diagnosis. Greater internal storage is presented in the device, the better it is. But mostly Fitbit provide the users with the big internal storage, while the other companies expect that user will make the frequent synchronization of their mobile application and the wearable. All devices are waterproof, that's why they can be used while swimming, and several of them has also additional screen protection That's why they can be used in some outdoor activities. All have the Bluetooth inside, which is the must-have for the wearables. Some of them even have a Wi-Fi module that provide the better, bigger communication range. And all devices are compatible with the iOS and Android, but commonly with the customized software application. And almost for all of them, there are no API for developers, so they can connect their third-party applications to those devices. And the smart closes. Smart closing can monitor the physical condition of a patient with integrated sensors inside a textile. The sensors should be placed in appropriate place, so the accurate result of the data which are analyzing will be delivered further. So the patient data gathered from embedded sensors are further transmitted via Bluetooth or the Wi-Fi module when Bluetooth gives the range 100 meters with 1 megabyte per second data rate, and the Wi-Fi gives twice more, the 200 meters, with the same frequency per rate. So the data is transmitted via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi to the smartphone where it hosts an application or gateway, and then to the Health Cloud Center, where the all collected raw data is cleaned, converted into machine-readable language, analyzed with machine learning algorithms, and stored and transmitted for further decision to the local healthcare service providers, medical advisors, family, and in case of the emergency medical aid is also called. So using such approach, a great variety of vital signs can be constantly monitored to prevent a health-threatening situation. Okay, what kind of vital signs can be analyzed using the wearables? There are 5 main. It is heart rate, blood pressure, body temperature, respiration rate, and blood oxygen saturation. The heart rate is one of the basic. Almost all trackers and smartwatches have the sensors to track the heart rate of the user. And the heart rate can be even analyzed using the smartphone camera. But the most accurate is still to get a result of the heart rate from the electrocardiography results. The blood pressure, previously it was always measured using the manual pressure cuffs, and stethoscope. Right now all these procedures were automated using automated pressure cuffs, but it should be noted that while continuous blood pressure monitoring is an important part of patient diagnosis and in medical treatment, the long wearing of automated pressure cuffs can lead to the sleep problem and skin irritation. Respiration rate. Right now, nowadays, the pulmonary function tests such as spirometry, lung volume are widely used to measure the respiration function. But at home, a user can use various accelerometers, variable pulse oximeters, and again extract the data about respiration from respiration rate from the electrocardiography results. The blood oxygen saturation. Mainly right now, the accurate tests are made in clinics with the invasive techniques. The most new development of the special sensor rings for non-invasive analysis of blood saturation is going on right now in China. But the best blood oxygen saturation analysis can be made in clinics or using pulse oximeters, but it can give some percent of error. And the last but not least, the body temperature. We all know that if the temperature exceeds 38 degrees Celsius, it indicates illness and infection in human organism. The all-day temperature measure can be made with wearable technologies using patch-type devices and again wrist-worn bands. There are 7 more vital signs that can be found around the literature. electrocardiography, stroke volume, capnography, glucose rate, pain and level of consciousness, urine output, skin precipitation, and actigraphy. But those three mainly address situations when the intense care for the patient is needed, or the person have cardiac problems, or diabetes treatment is needed. And on the slide, you also can see where the sensors in a textile or in wearables have to be placed to analyze the heart rate, body temperature, skin precipitation rate, electrocardiography and respiration rate, blood pressure, and blood oxygen. And now about challenges and directions. Generally, there are 8 of them. The first 3, the most important, I guess, one of the most important are data safety and integrity, reliability, and security. The data safety and integrity is about dealing with data loss, especially during this connection when transmitted data from this peripheral device to the server or from the server to some kind of cloud storage. This can be achieved with the proper memory management with different techniques like temporary data saving or buffering. The reliability stands for challenges that lies in a borderline data. So for an algorithm to be reliable, a user must be able to quantitatively understand their detection limits and error characteristics as well. The security stands for considering that the data we are collecting from the wearables is about the personal, and people don't like to share their data at all, as we all know. So the systems that store data must have this decent level of security, as well as the data encryption is necessary. The next 3 is connectivity, wearability, and battery life. Connectivity is about the ease of connection between various devices, as the wearable is example of Internet of Things in our lives. So these devices which are placed on a human body have to be connected with the other and have to transmit the data properly. Wearability is about comfort of everyday wearing those devices, especially if we talk about the senior age. And the battery life, which is also very important, just as the internal capacity. And the battery life, while we are designing or using the wearables, during the development, we need to prioritize the functions to keep only the necessary ones, so the battery won't be used by the high resolution screens, for example, or we need to use some other algorithms to reduce the power consumption. And the last 2 are design and user acceptance. Design wearables should follow the basic principles and properties. They should not be too visible and should not distract from daily routine and activities. Otherwise, people just simply won't use it. And also, they must be very close to body to measure. And of course, while we're developing some new products, they have to be comfortable because people will use it every day. And the user acceptance is more about the software which operates on the wearables, because it should consider the interface specific visuals, and we need to be able to follow the lifestyle of the targeted audience as well. So for example, if people need, we have to give opportunity user to place information which he or she is mainly interested in on the main screen, as an example. Okay, as I have stated before, the glucose management rate, glucose rate is in the 7 additional vital signs that should be analyzed. And while this is additional, while we don't have the diabetes problem, and it becomes crucial when the person hears the diagnosis that he has a diabetes, especially when it comes to children, because children they learn to live with their new lifestyle. They have to understand some nutrition basics, that all meal they have to take should be well balanced, free from sugar sweetened. They should track carbohydrates and portion sizes. They have to schedule their physical activities and analyze blood sugar and hydration during them. Each medication they are taken daily have to be taken after consultation with the doctor, and all doctors have to be informed about their medication. And of course, it's about insulin. They're tracking a dose of insulin at specific time. And in this slide, you can see the sad statistics about how many children are newly diagnosed with the type 1 diabetes per year, and in all over the world and in Ukraine. So we have started the development of glucose management application in cooperation with the Children Diabetes Center in one of the biggest medical health resorts in Ukraine, Mirgorod Kurort. The center supports frequent consultation with the doctors, the interviewing the target group, we are analyzing a lot of feedback after those interviews. So right now we have created our pilot projects built on the native iOS and Android components. Now our applications are connecting to the glucometers, which are seen in the Bluetooth range. We manage our connected devices, grab data from them, and synchronize the application with with connected devices, as well as user can add manually new measurement, navigate through the history table and edit it. User can set notifications for the next glucose management and log recent activity session data, which is also can be grabbed from the connected wrist-worn trackers. And conclusions. Wearable health devices are an emerging technology, and it aims to be successfully integrated into the medical systems. The developers and users have to be aware of the basic characteristics of wearable: its connectivity, security, data safety and integrity, reliability, wearability, user acceptance, and battery life. Our pilot project is on the starting point right now, and it is we are making the user interface customization, as well as adding functionality to track the meal and exercise more precisely. And thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'd be very happy to answer them.
Thank you for your presentation. It was very interesting to listen to you. And if there are some questions, please, dear colleagues. Please.
Ви плануєте створювати якусь там експертну систему, ну, подальшому, так сказати, розвитку?
I will answer in the Ukrainian and Russian, okay? Это не сколько экспертная система, это сколько приложение, которое будет сопровождать ребенка в течение всего дня, для того, чтобы он мог контролировать свои физические нагрузки, еду, которую он принимал. Эта вся информация должна шариться с его родителями и быть доступна также лечащему врачу, для того, чтобы анализировать, в какие моменты, после каких конкретно активностей было повышение, допустим, глюкозы, так как это один из очень важных моментов. Дети только учатся новому стилю жизни, и нужно, чтобы они уже адаптировались в этой новой среде, в которой они находятся, и также взрослые следили за этим процессом адаптации. То есть это скорее среда, в которой у ребенка есть мобильное приложение. Мы все знаем, что дети сейчас полностью в этом погрязли. Вот. И есть трекеры, есть глюкометры, которые, вот, в общем, составляют такую основу ежедневного анализа уровня глюкозы. Вот.
Thank you for your question, and thank you for the answer. If there are more questions, please, dear colleagues. No more questions. Thank you for your presentation. And we go, yes, one more time, and we go to the next presenters. Please, Vyacheslav Gorev, Alexander Gusev, and Valery Kornienko. And the title of the work is on the telecommunication traffic forecasting in a fractional, it's difficult to pronounce,
Gaussian noise model.
Gaussian noise model. Thank you for your help. Who is the presenter? Who is this?
My name is Vyacheslav Gorev. I'm the presenter. So, dear colleagues, do you hear me and do you see my screen?
Yes, we.
Yes, okay. So, hello, dear colleagues. My name is Vyacheslav Gorev. I am an assistant professor of Department of Information Security and Telecommunications, and this work is made with Professor Alexander Gusev and Professor Valery Kornienko from the same department. We are from the Dnipro University of Technology, and my talk is devoted to the telecommunication traffic forecasting in a fractional Gaussian noise model. The outline of the talk is as follows. First of all, I'll tell about the motivation. Then I will show you the Wiener-Hopf integral equation and the traffic correlation function in the framework of the fractional Gaussian noise model. Then I will explain you what is a truncated polynomial expansion method, and I'll show you the properties of the corresponding integral brackets. Then I will describe the results, and I will tell our conclusions and plans for the future. So the motivation of investigation is as follows. As is known, the problem of telecommunication traffic forecasting is very important for telecommunications. For example, in paper by Cartridge, it's stressed that it's important for information security because of detection of security attacks in computer networks by comparing predicted traffic with actual traffic. Also in paper by Cortez, it's stressed development of the intelligent systems, for example, such systems as intelligent traffic forecasting engines. And as is known in the systems with data burst transfer, traffic is described as a fractal process, and there is a plenty of different approaches to traffic description, and in a rather simple approach, traffic is described as a stationary random process, and one of the simple models of telecommunication traffic is a model where the traffic is described as a fractional Gaussian noise. Fractional Gaussian noise is a stationary random process. As is known, the well-known Kolmogorov-Wiener filter may be used for forecasting of stationary random processes. So it's natural enough to say that this filter may be used to the forecasting of traffic. Also, it should be stressed that in case of a large amount of data, it's reasonable to investigate the traffic as a continuous random process. This fact is stressed in the literature. And so in our investigation, we consider the traffic as a continuous, as a continuous random process. And our previous works were devoted to the construction of the Kolmogorov-Wiener filter weight function in the model where the traffic was considered as a power law structure function. And the problem is as follows. First of all, as we know, the corresponding weight function is the solution of the Wiener-Hopf integral equation, and the exact analytical solution of such an equation can hardly be obtained, so one should seek the approximate solutions. And one of the most powerful and developed in the literature methods of investigation of the approximate solutions of such equations is a truncated polynomial expansion method. But the convergence of the method is guaranteed only if the kernel of the corresponding integral equation is a positively defined function. In the model where the traffic is considered to be a random stationary power law structure function, this does not take place. So the method may not be convergent for the model with a power law structure function, but I should say that nevertheless some approximation indeed give good results. As to the problem in the model where the traffic is considered as a fractional Gaussian noise, such a drawback is absent. As is known in the literature, the corresponding correlation function in the framework of fractional Gaussian noise model is a positively defined function in case where the first exponent is greater than 0.5. So the method should be convergent for such a model. And also I should stress that we know very few works where the corresponding filter is used for traffic forecasting, and we don't know any works where the corresponding filter is used for traffic forecasting in the framework of the fractional Gaussian noise model. So the considered theoretical approach is not enough developed in the literature, and the aim of our work is to obtain the Kolmogorov-Wiener filter weight function for the forecasting of continuous fractional Gaussian noise with the help of the truncated polynomial expansion method and to illustrate its convergence. On this slide, the Wiener-Hopf integral equation and the traffic correlation function are given. This is the well-known expression for the correlation function of a continuous fractional Gaussian noise in the case where the first exponent is greater than 0.5. As it can be seen, this function is indeed a positively defined function. Also, as we know, the Kolmogorov-Wiener filter weight function is the solution of the corresponding Wiener-Hopf integral equation. Here we describe the case where the input data of the filtering given on the time interval from 0 to t capitalized. And if we substitute our correlation function into this integral equation, we will obtain the following integral equation for the unknown weight function, and an approximate solution of such an equation should be found. In order to obtain this approximate solution, we use the well-known truncated polynomial expansion method. In the framework of this method, the unknown function is thought as a truncated series in an orthogonal polynomial system. So this polynomial S should be orthogonal on the required time interval. In our recent paper, we have obtained the following orthogonality condition, which shows that the polynomials S, which are expressed in terms of the Chebyshev polynomials of the second kind, are indeed orthogonal on the corresponding time interval. So these polynomials can be used as a basis of the corresponding expansion. And here the coefficients G are known coefficients multiplying the polynomials, and we should find these coefficients. In our conference paper, the following system of linear equations for such coefficients was obtained. Here the following integral designations are used, and this integral G, called as the integral brackets, takes most of the computational time. All the calculations were made by the Wolfram Mathematica package. And the corresponding integral brackets have the following properties. First of all, they are symmetric ones, and this property takes not only in the case of Chebyshev polynomials, but in case of any other orthogonal system, because the reason of this first property is the fact that the correlation function of a stationary random process is an even one. But the second property, which is shown in our conference paper, takes place only due to the choice of the Chebyshev polynomials of the second kind. So a straightforward calculation for these cumbersome integrals in case where we take the Chebyshev polynomials of the second kind as a basis is needed only for the number of integral brackets equal to f sub 1. But in the general case, one should calculate the corresponding number f sub 2. I mean that all the calculations here are shown in the n polynomial approximation. And as can be seen, the choice of Chebyshev polynomials of second kind reduces the corresponding number approximately in 2 times for approximations of a rather large number of polynomials. And we have obtained the following results. We have investigated numerically the following parameters: that the input traffic data is given for the time equal to 100 time units. The forecast is made for 3 time units, so z is much less than t squared, t capitalized, and the first exponent is equal to 0.8. And we compare the left hand and the right hand sides of the integral equation in order to detect the accuracy of the approximations, and the corresponding graphs are built. As can be shown, the approximations of rather low number of polynomials are not enough accurate. These two curves do not coincide good, but the accuracy of the approximations increases with the number of polynomials. Then can be seen from this slide and the following slides. I mean, from this slide, from this slide, from this slide, and from this slide, so these two curves become closer and closer. And this can be seen for approximations of a rather large number of polynomials for 16, 17, 18, 19 polynomial approximations. These two curves almost coincide. So the approximations of a rather large number of polynomials are rather accurate, and the accuracy increases with the number of polynomials. I should also stress that the investigation of approximations of more than 19 polynomials is not made because the Wolfram Mathematica package is not able to build the corresponding graphs adequately for the number of polynomials more than 19. And also for illustration of the accuracy of the approximations, we have calculated the MAP errors of coinciding of the left hand and the right hand side of the integral equation under consideration. And indeed, as is seen, the approximations of rather low number of polynomials have rather big errors, but the approximations of rather large number of polynomials have the MAP error which is less than 1%, and the accuracy of approximations grows with the number of polynomials, so one can conclude that the method is convergent for this problem. So our conclusions is the Kolmogorov-Wiener filter for the telecommunication traffic forecasting in a fractional Gaussian noise model is constructed in the case where the first exponent is greater than 0.5, and the approximate solution for the filter weight function is obtained on the basis of the truncated polynomial expansion method. This method is convergent under the considered problem, and I should stress that our work now is devoted only to development of theoretical fundamentals of the construction of the corresponding filter for forecasting of traffic in a framework of the continuous fractional Gaussian noise model. So the first plan for the future is to apply the considered theoretical approach to practical traffic forecasting and to compare the results of this approach with practical results of other approaches. And the second plan for the future is possible improvement of the approach. Maybe there exists some non-polynomial orthogonal system of functions which gives better results than the polynomial one. And the search of such a system by trial and error may be another plan for the future. So I am grateful to you for your attention.
And we are grateful for your presentation. Please, dear colleagues, if there are some questions, do not hesitate to ask. Please, who has questions to our presenter? Please.
У вас мультиплікативний чи аддитивний шум?
Так, смотрите, мы сейчас не рассматриваем случай, когда у нас есть какой-то полезный сигнал, а на него наложен непосредственно шум. Мы рассматриваем трафик в модели, в которой сам трафик считается фрактальным гауссовским шумом. Грубо говоря, просто трафик считается процессом с соответствующей корреляционной функцией. Это одна из возможных моделей, рассматриваемых в литературе. То есть мы не рассматриваем сейчас случай, что мы шум наложили на полезный сигнал.
Дякую.
Any more questions? No? Then thanks to our presenter.
Thank you very much.
And I would like to tell you that we had all four presentations, and now we have a break, and after the break we will have the closing ceremony and the awards. So please, dear colleagues, join at 4 p.m. to our workshop. See you then.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. See you later.
Thank you.